Wasn't it Russo in the first place who says he wouldn't sit through 2 hours of wrestling? So they're back to who they were a show ago? What was the point in it all? What happened to the world champion Ken Anderson? Why didn't we see him again? Why do the tag team belts keep changing hands? Why is Mickey Knuckles and PCO being used as mafia members for Vito's family? Couldn't they get any other wrestlers to play this part? Why is Caleb Conley the chosen one? This show, people praise the writing. There isn't even any storylines that are even interesting. The ones that are start to be interesting, but they don't lead anywhere. How do you not write anything interesting with zombie twins? I'm sick of seeing Mickey Knuckles' ass. I'm sick of the constant 10-minute adverts. Why does Matt Cross look like Captain Birdseye? Why doesn't the world champion have any feuds? Why is he never here? And why is there never a reason for why he's never here? I wonder what the fuck Russo was doing in all those years of oblivion that he faced. Because he sure as hell wasn't using that time to brush up on his writing style. I'd brush my ass on this show. Yeah, kind of at that point right now. I think most of you have lost faith in Russo at this time. The biggest criticism that I have seen online is that the roster is terrible. Some people did check into the show at the start, but found the roster hard to deal with. Some say this is like watching the Attitude Era. Why? Because they swear all the time? At the end of the day, how good can a wrestling show really be when the wrestlers are being paid $350 a show? Apart from Ken Anderson, who gets $1,000. And he has to be flown in. So he'll barely be on the show due to the added costs. The budget isn't here. We have to remember this is an indie. I reckon that Russo threatening the WWE and making bold claims at the start built people's expectations up too much, because at the end of the day, the budget just isn't here. And money is what matters the most in wrestling. I started off today with some optimism to watch Lunacy, but after sitting through 2 shows back to back, I felt miserable. I spent the night crying into my nappy and fantasizing about women 5 times my BMI. This was not a happy hawk. Just by coincidence, Vince Russo has been gone for the last 2 shows. He's back now, and he'll be back with a vengeance over the next 2 episodes. Russo has a new son called Caleb Conley. They're also calling him the Chosen One. He looks like AJ Styles mixed with Frankie Kazarian, mixed with crack. Russo is also in a really rambling mood tonight. Apparently he has a lot of questions to answer. First, he has been sat in the back for months crying at the state of this roster, and he needed a good ornament to make this roster better, and ultimately he was forced to settle on Caleb Conley. Because he's one of the few people on this roster that is neither fat nor old. These two really look like father and son. Russo shoots on his hatred of Kerry Morton. He admits that he paid Matt Cross to attack Kerry Morton for the last few weeks. This causes the crowd to chant Kerry. Wow, is that a face turn for him? Well, no time soon, as Russo sent Kerry to Japan. This would also be the return of Violent J. He comes through the crowd like a badass. He starts screaming and swearing at Russo for getting him kicked out of JCW forever. Forever can't be that long though, because he's here cutting a damn promo. Russo denies screwing Violent J. He thinks Matt Cross did that on his own. Big Vito is randomly the peacekeeper here. He tells them to get a room together and figure it out. Vito calls Violent J a butter bitch. Vito is still consistently the best part of these shows. Vito and Violent J want to fight. Russo tries to stop that, so Vito drags him to the floor with his son Caleb Conley desperate to protect his new father. Mickey Knuckles and PCO have Big Vito's back. They hit Violent J in the Slash Zone until the Corridor Crew run them off. The Corridor Crew take him to their safe zone, the Corridor, to revive him. Russo tries to show sympathy, which they don't like. Elsewhere, PCO and Moose Knuckle offer to take out the Corridor Crew. Vito isn't up for that, and instead he wants them to capture the tag titles tonight. Mickey Knuckles keeps looking at his ass. The commentary team for tonight are 2 twins that look like they fell out of Jim Ross's ass. I'm missing the Blue Meanie, I hope he's okay. We have a 3-way tag match to start the action. Winner gets a tag title shot. It's Too Tough Tony, the man who's never able to truly leave no matter how hard he tries. At night he cries. The only man whose wrestling attire doubles as pyjamas from any random street in any random town representing farmers. He's the man with the Bacardi Breezer, the man whose dick is so big he'll give your lady a seizure. He's twice as tough as you and the dad combined. The only man who can instantly devalue a shirt when it's signed. Too Tough, motherfucking Tony. He bribes you to be his homie. I have never seen such a train of old alkies in his career. He must get about 20 of them in a row without anybody turning down his Bacardi until one rat-like creature finally says no. This crowd are the biggest drinkers of all time. He of course teams up with his fellow corridor walking member, the Big Mac, Willie Mac. This show has missed them so much. The next team are Flo Kane, it's Cool Kane, and the Toothless Wonder, Stephen Flo. And the third team is the Zombie Twins. The Corridor Crew vs the Zombie Twins is an interesting fight. Tony smashes one of them down. I love the confused expression on this man's face as the zombie starts bridging up and going nuts. Tony throws them into each other and gets a 2 for 1. Tony looks to hit a moonsault off the ropes when Cool Kane tags in. The zombies take over the match. Stephen Flo almost gets eaten after getting swarmed, but he still has the energy to hit a kick. The zombies continue winning until their double teaming backfires. Cool Kane tries to use the AJ Styles moonsault into an inverted DDT, which doesn't work, but then he ends up choke slamming one zombie on top of the other. Tony has the tag. His experience and his size seem to be too much for the undead to deal with. He hits the moonsault with the pin getting broken up. Cool Kane and Stephen Flo seem to be having issues. Stephen tags in, which causes Cool Kane to be smashed in the corner. Stephen dives into a Willie Mack stunner to knock his good tooth out. Tony lights his hand on fire and smacks him one for the 3. The Corridor Crew are getting a tag title shot. Everybody starts leaving when the cursor, Shane Mercer, starts being a dick to Stephen Flo once again. Cool Kane saves him, but then Stephen walks out on him. Elsewhere, Vince Russo meets with Big Eyes Alice Crowley, who apologised for accusing Vince Russo for being like Vince McMahon. Russo reveals that she has volunteered to step down from her position of authority. She has been drinking cream soda to calm herself down. Not really understanding that reference, but good for her, I guess. Russo says in WWE, WCW and TNA, women would often tell him stories of the abuse they were suffering, and Russo is such a great guy that he would never do anything like that. Why are they treating him like a massive babyface when he literally stole an entire company? He tells Big Eyes she is too boring now and she must now go off and find a new gimmick. Red Love gets another video package to hype his debut. He's basically Waylon Mercy on shrooms. Another number 1 contendership match is next. J-Rod will be taking on Big Eyes Alice Crowley. J-Rod jumps her before the bell. J-Rod flattens her with a big side slam, but misses the splash. Alice almost sneaks a pin. J-Rod goes on to beat her up for ages. Alice then sends her out of the ring and she gets weakly swept out on the ring apron. They come back to the ring where Alice Crowley hits a striking combination. Nothing happens and J-Rod throws her with a German suplex. Big Al comes back with a big back suplex and a side slam. She seems to be in full control when randomly, the ring girl from earlier smacks Alice Crowley with a sign. The match has been thrown out, so seemingly J-Rod has just lost her shot at a world title. What an idiot. Vince Russo is having a family meeting. He tells his miserable son Caleb Conley that from now on he needs to impress every single night of the week because of Russo. The CrossFit Matt Fit barges into the office. He is upset that he isn't Russo's son. Russo uses this as evidence for how hard it's going to be his son. Stephen Flo then barges in, spraying bad breath. He wants a match against the cursor Shane Mercer. The segment ends with Caleb Conley not uttering a single word. The American title will be on the line now. Mecha Wolf is the challenger for Facade's belt. Facade just about has control in the early going until he runs into a spear in the ring. The Wolf throws him out of the ring and now it's time to fly. The fence almost crushes the fans. Almost a lawsuit right there. Back in the ring, and Wolf hits a snapmare dropkick for a 2. Facade eventually starts outpacing him and hits a springboard kick off the ropes and another one to send the Wolf out off the apron. Facade hits dive out of the ring and he brings him back to the ring with another dive, this time a kick. Somehow that's just a 2. Facade tries another dive out of the ring, but this one is blocked by the Wolf across the ropes and he hits a DDT back into the ring. Facade has his own cool move, a sort of split-legged middle rope dive into a cutter, just a 2. Facade then chooses a bad time to do a handstand in the corner and he's booted and then kneed in the head for a 2 count. Eventually though, Facade just grabs a handful of knickers to win the match. Russo and Vito meet up again. Russo is tired of Vito putting his hands on him. Violent J sounds like somebody squeezing his nutsack as he speaks. He isn't a fan of JCW without him as leader. I bet he isn't. The Cursor, Shane Mercer versus Stephen Flo. Mercer's been kicking the crap out of Stephen for a few months now and it's been pretty fun. It goes much like it has been lately. Flo's dive is caught but he lands on his feet from a throw. Stephen then throws him out of the ring and he hits a dive. His next dive out the ring is blocked and Mercer rams him into the ring pole. Mercer swings him back into a fence now. It must just be so fun being Shane Mercer, just throwing around these little crackheads and feeling like the big man. Mercer press slams him onto the ramp as silence goes over the crowd. Mercer suplexes him back into the ring overhead. He keeps up the beating with a release suplex. This match has been one-sided. Mercer now swings him around and around by his neck in the ring before letting him hit the mat and keeping the submission on. Somehow Stephen Flo escapes that. He also escapes a press slam and transitions that into a Canadian destroyer. The match isn't over. Stephen climbs to the top and starts ripping his shirt open but takes too long. Mercer meets him up there and goes for a sack of shit. Stephen Flo reverses that into a sunset flip with a bridge for the 3. Real nice underdog match. This is the most the crowd reacted all night. Mercer the Cursor is a bad loser and he drops Stephen Flo on his bad tooth, and he hasn't even finished yet. Cool Kane ends up making the save as usual. Stephen Flo shoves his best friend away because he is upset that he got beaten up. The tag team champions, the Brothers of Funstruction, talk about how Big Vito may interfere in the match tonight and may reveal their big secret. They eventually agree they aren't even bothered. Kerry Morton cuts a promo from Japan. He calls Russo a carny. PCO and his partner Moose Knuckle, that poor referee, and they will challenge for the tag belts belonging to Funstruction. PCO doesn't like being tickled with a rubber chicken and he smacks the clown's head off. He wishes it was off for real after Mickey Knuckles starts rubbing her ass in his face. The clowns try a double team to come back but take each other out by mistake. Mickey German suplexes the clown and PCO finishes the clown off with a moonsault. We have new tag team champions? The tag belts sure changed hands a lot in this company. Little did I know, it was going to get worse in this video. I guess that means more TV time for Mickey Knuckles. Great. Vito will now reveal the clown's secrets. He says they are secret mafia gangster clowns who are in witness protection. They are embarrassments to the Costa Nostra. Vito promises they are going to hell for crossing the mafia. Not a good night for the clowns then, is it? Show 2. Thank God this arena looks a bit more interesting. That last one was pathetic. Oh wow, what an insane start to the show. The Brothers of Funstruction are now mafia men and they're no longer clowns. Or they were always mafia men? Who knows, this is a bit nuts. I was actually most impressed that without the makeup they don't look like crackheads. The audience are stunned about this and they chant what the fuck. They are now the Brothers of Chekhov. They admit that they did a lot of bad things in the past and they also did some snitching, which is why they went into hiding. The other one says the gig is up and there will be no more clowns. They leave their clown shoes in the ring. Well, 2 of them anyway. Violent J arrives looking stunned. They thank the audience for showing them their buttholes. Yet another reference on this show I'm not getting. Probably a good thing on that front. They have to leave because bad people are after them. Violent J refuses to let them leave. His lines are so dramatic. Violent J's calves look like tree trunks. He refuses to accept any of this and tells them they are clowns no matter what. Juggalos don't judge other juggalos, they don't give a fuck, so nobody cares about the clown's evil past as mafia hitmen / snitches. They all hug, grab asses and kiss. Vito is miserable about this and he sways out like a diseased elm. He calls all 3 of them pieces of shit. Big Vito wears shades so often that he has dents in the side of his head. As usual, Big Vito has trash thrown at him. The crowd are extremely hostile tonight. Vito won't let it slide because they ratted on his family. He says there's mafia people all around the building waiting to get them tonight. Violent J and Vito start screaming at each other. This fight has been teased for ages, but is Violent J even capable of still working a match? Because otherwise this rivalry is a waste of time. Violent J knees him in the slash zone and Vito screams "Oh my balls" into the microphone. The clowns say that Vito must now wear their shoes and make himself look stupid. They start forcing him, but then Big Vito's mafia family make the save. Why are PCO and Mickey Knuckles mafia members? The Corridor crew get rid of them. The Big Mac is topless with a beanie on. The tag team titles will be on the line tonight in the main event. Well, I've got to say that intro segment is the most interesting thing to happen on Lunacy for a while. I was excited to know what was going to happen to the clowns / witness protection mafia members tonight on this show. But little did I know, they'd screw this up too. In the back, the CrossFit Matt Fit looks 60 years old, covered in dog hairs, screaming "the gig is up." It's supposed to be "the jig is up," but nobody on this show is smart enough to know that. But I'm more confused why everybody in this show is suddenly using this line. Russo doesn't know what is next for Matt Cross. He looks like he could be Russo's dad. Seriously, if you put a wig on top of Matt Cross's head, they'd look like twins. Matt Cross demands to face Caleb Conley to show that he can be the chosen one. If Caleb Conley can beat Matt Cross, he must leave JCW for good. Russo and Cross both agree to these terms. Red Love gets another segment introducing himself. He is now wearing red lipstick. And what's funny is he's trying to play this psychopath character, yet he's here looking perfectly clean and groomed. I'm not buying that anybody is some sort of horrendous psychopath who obviously spends time plucking his eyelashes. He sounds quite unique though. Big Vito and Russo are screaming at each other again. They argue over who is the bigger dork. Vito is upset that his boys have been booked in the main event. Is Mickey Knuckles a boy now then, is she? Russo says we are in the ratings business and Vito's guys are the rating draws, so they must be in the main event. Wow, Mr. Anderson walks up screaming the champ is here like he's John Cena. It's relieving to finally see the world champion after 3 or 4 shows. Little did I realise we would never see him again. Big Vito tells him that this isn't the WWE and there is no point trying to suck on Pritchard's ass hairs. Vito is the top guy here. Mr. Anderson sounds drunk, possibly high, and he calls him a jabroni as Russo watches on, deciding if he should put them both in a pole match tonight. Mr. Anderson calls him a curtain jerker. Russo tells Anderson that he is a wise ass, but he doesn't believe that Anderson would ever put his mouth near Pritchard's asshole. Here comes Disco Ray, who makes the ring rat spray. They do disco dancing together, and I think the whole reason that they put her with him is just to have an excuse to make her dance. The opponent is Facade. Disco demands they dance, but Facade doesn't like to dance. Facade has sort of become a tweener on this show of his high risk moves but his bad attitude. A Kid Cash gimmick. He hits a rope walk thrust kick and whatever happens next. To be honest, the next 30 seconds look horrific. I don't know if Facade rolled his ankle here, but Disco Ray's offense looks so fake and silly. They'd have better luck digging up Jorge Estrada to redo this gimmick. Disco almost wins the neckbreaker and he comes closer with a diving elbow. Facade then almost sneaks a roll up and then we get a double down. The ring rat climbs onto the apron and distracts Facade. Then, like a dumbass, Disco Ray gets distracted by his own manager. Facade boots Disco in the nutsack and that's the three. In the back, Moose Knuckle is deeping a banana and climbing on top of Big Vito. I'm gonna be sick again. What is it with this show? They followed that up with a new song by Whack Kid, which is all we need right now. It's even worse than the last song that he had. Diamonds dance like Michael Jackson off the wall. I watch where I step, I never slip, I never fall. The chorus is just him saying, "What the fuck?" over and over again. He's ginger, he's somehow fat, short, and they photoshopped a grill into his teeth. When they shipped him into Brazil for this music video, they should have left him there. Whack Kid, What the Fuck OMG is out on YouTube and Spotify. He doesn't even look like a kid. He's just whack. Now we have a fairly interesting package about Cool Kane. We're told he used to be Pink Kane until WWE sent them a cease and desist. Then he was Yellow Kane and it happened again. Then he became Cool Kane, but the WWE left him alone for some reason because they didn't have their Kane doing drugs. Then it just goes on for 10 more minutes so I fell asleep. I wake up to a tag match between Steve and Flo and Cool Kane and the Zombie Twins. I love how Cool Kane holds out a present for the zombie and he seems to actually want that. Steve and Flo is a dick though and he stops him from having it and dives on the zombie. Flo Kane hit a wacky double team elbow to the zombie. He's still able to fight off the chokeslam but can't avoid a springboard stage dive. The zombies start going nuts like zombies out of World War Z and now Steve and Flo is in trouble. Ultimately, the zombies end up spraying Steve and Flo with double bad breath. I thought Steve and Flo was going to power out of that for a moment. He actually does a good sell here. Cool Kane once again, 2 weeks in a row, chokeslams one zombie on top of the other, and that's how it ends. You know what? I feel like Russo got bored of the zombies. I think he's an idiot. I thought they were the best part of the show. I can think of lots of options they could do with them, but booking has definitely weakened for them. Russo meets with his new son, Caleb Conley. Caleb is very upset about his dad making him face Matt Cross tonight. Russo says if he can't beat Matt Cross, he may as well not be the chosen one. Yeah, Russo, that's the stipulation that you already agreed to. Somehow, this speech motivates AJ Styles as he rants, his eyes glisten and gleam with anticipation. Couldn't they put him on a stepladder or something? He tells his dad that he will never doubt him ever again after tonight. Elsewhere, two peculiar men meet in a toilet to discuss how depressing their lives are. Here comes the CrossFit Matt Fit. His music is just his name being screamed over and over again. He is facing the chosen one, Caleb Conley. The crowd had nobody to cheer for. It sucks. They're both heels. Russo is here playing cheerleader for Caleb Conley, so it sucks even harder. He's screaming the whole match about the limitless potential of Caleb Conley. I then skip the whole match and Caleb Conley wins with a burning hammer, which he has been using a lot lately. He is the new AJ Styles and Matt Cross is now gone from JCW. A girl in the crowd sprays bad breath in his face. Big Vito is staring into space. I think he's given up on this show too. Next up, it's an Al Snow special. J-Rod will team up with her best friend Sophia Rose from Ohio Valley. They are facing the team from the 4-1-2, Dynamite Danny Moo and Big Eyes Alice Cowley. Danny dives on J-Rod with a crossbody straight away. Alice then drops Donnie on J-Rod and a bell randomly sounds to start the match. Danny Mo seems to handle the new girl well enough, but not so much with J-Rod. She drops Danny Mo in the corner and smashes her with a kick. Some Scott Steiner push-ups from J-Rod now. Eventually a missile dropkick goes wrong and the crowd chant, "You fucked up." Big Al gets the tag. He wipes out J-Rod with a back suplex. The new girl hits a Russian leg sweep and the ref is distracted and Sophia Rose smacks Danny Mo with brass knuckles for the free. In his office, Big Vito is in a trance still and not even PCO screaming in his face is enough to wake him up. In the toilets, Rose and J-Rod are trying to push out a dump when Big Al tries to jump them. This backfires for her and it sounds like they give her a swirly in the toilet. The sign on the door says pull, don't push. Well, you can't pull a dump out, can you? Matt Cross is miserably walking around backstage. He has been fired. Violent J wants him to admit that he cost him the company. Matt Cross admits that everything was his fault. As usual, the tag team titles are on the line now. Too Tough, Tony and Willie Mack will take on Moose Knuckle and PCO. Only 3 things can be sure in life: death, taxes and Mickey Knuckles work in the main event. It's a hardcore match, because of course it is. Tony hits the top rope DDT for a door to PCO. Willie Mack gives Mickey Knuckles a spine buster for a door and that's how the match ends. And once again, the tag belts have changed hands. At this point, it's so frequent that I didn't even clock that the belts had changed hands again straight away. Of course, the heels are bad losers. The clowns are back again, but they're no longer Mafia members? They're clowns again? Why? They beat everybody up using sticks of cotton candy. So they're back to who they were a show ago? What was the point in it all? Everything was a fucking waste of time. I thought the point in the show tonight was that the clowns were going to get fucked up tonight and there were people waiting for them around the building and outside. What was the point in unmasking them just to bring them straight back the same night under the masks? What happened to the world champion Ken Anderson? Why didn't we see him again? Why do the tag team belts keep changing hands? Didn't Tony and Willie Mack win them just a few weeks ago just to give them back anyway? Why is Mickey Knuckles and PCO being used as Mafia members for Vito's family? Couldn't they get any other wrestlers to play this part? Why have these shows been creeping up in length to around 2 hours? Wasn't it Russo in the first place who says he wouldn't sit through 2 hours of wrestling? Why is Caleb Conley the chosen one? This show, people praise the writing. There isn't even any storylines that are even interesting. The ones that are start to be interesting, but they don't lead anywhere. They had me with the clowns unmasking, and 2 hours later it was ruined. How do you not write anything interesting with zombie twins? I'm sick of seeing Mickey Knuckles' ass. I'm sick of the constant 10-minute adverts. Why does Matt Cross look like Captain Birdseye? Why doesn't the world champion have any feuds? Why is he never here? And why is there never a reason for why he's never here? Why are the main characters Big Vito and Violent J, yet we know they aren't going to have a match? I take a dump in my nappy and rub it all over Russo's head and his new son's face. It won't smell as bad as Mickey Knuckles' ass, but it'll get my point across. I wonder what the fuck Russo was doing in all those years of oblivion that he faced, because he sure as hell wasn't using that time to brush up on his writing style. I brushed my ass on this show.